Unleashing your story, the hidden power to heal, inspire, and transform lives. Welcome to the Black CEO podcast, where we dive deep into the minds of extraordinary individuals who are reshaping our world. Today, I have the incredible privilege of sharing insights from my recent interview with Dorian Stewart, a visionary author, captivating speaker, and trailblazing entrepreneur who's revolutionizing lives through the transformative power of storytelling. Dorian's journey and message are so profoundly impactful that I felt compelled to deliver this in a TED Talk style to truly capture the essence of her wisdom and ignite a fire in your hearts. Dorian Stewart isn't just an author. She's a beacon of hope, a catalyst for change, and a living testament to the power of words. Her work has touched countless lives, from children finding their self-worth to adults rediscovering their purpose. She's not just writing books, she's crafting lifelines, weaving tapestries of hope, and building bridges between pain and healing. Her impact reverberates far beyond the pages of her books, creating ripples of transformation that touch hearts, heal wounds, and inspire dreams. Now let me ask you a question. Have you ever felt that nagging sensation, that persistent whisper in the depths of your soul telling you that you have a story inside you, a message burning in your heart, yearning to be shared with the world? What if I told you that the very story you've been hesitating to write, the one you've been dismissing as insignificant, could be the key to someone else's healing, hope, or transformation? Pause for a moment. Let that sink in. Your story, yes, your story could be the lifeline someone is desperately searching for. This is the profound truth I discovered during my conversation with Dorian Stewart. Her message is clear, powerful, and frankly, a bit disruptive. Your story is a ministry. Write it, share it, impact lives. It's a call to action for all of us who have ever doubted the significance of our words or the power of our experiences. It's a challenge to step out of our comfort zones and into our calling as storytellers. Now, I can almost hear some of you thinking, but I'm not a writer. I don't have an extraordinary story to tell. Well, let me stop you right there. Dorian's journey began with a deeply personal, seemingly ordinary story. After adopting her daughter, she felt a divine burden to ensure that this precious child knew she was loved, chosen, and cherished. This led to her first book, I Am Chosen and Cherished. But here's the kicker. Dorian wasn't a seasoned author or a professional writer when she started. She was simply a mother with a message, a woman with a calling. Sound familiar? I bet many of you listening right now can relate to this. You have a message, a story, an experience that's uniquely yours. And that, my friends, is your superpower. Like many of us, Dorian faced doubts. She questioned her ability to write, wondered if she was qualified, and grappled with the fear of putting her words out into the world. She stood at the edge of her comfort zone, teetering between the safety of silence and the risk of vulnerability. But here's where her story takes a powerful turn. She realized that God had already equipped her. He was just waiting on her obedience. This moment of surrender, this leap of faith, changed everything. It led to the creation of the Promise Pals book series and devotional coloring books, tools that have since helped countless children, parents, and educators build confidence, find healing, and discover their purpose. Now let's pause for a moment and consider this. What if Dorian had listened to her doubts? What if she had decided her story wasn't worth telling? How many lives would have missed out on the healing and hope her books have brought? This, my friends, is the power of storytelling. It's not just about words on a page. It's about connection, healing, and transformation. Your story, your experiences, your unique perspective, they all matter. They all have the potential to change lives. Think about it. Now, the Bible itself, one of the most influential books in history, is essentially a collection of stories. Moses, a man with a speech impediment, led a nation to freedom. Esther, a young woman in a foreign land, saved her people from genocide. David, a shepherd boy, became a king and a man after God's own heart. These weren't perfect people with flawless lives. They were ordinary individuals who stepped into their calling despite their fears and doubts. And here's the beautiful thing. Their stories continue to inspire, guide, and transform lives thousands of years later. That's the legacy of storytelling. That's the power you hold in your hands. Dorian's message challenges us to see our stories through a different lens. Your words aren't just ink on paper or pixels on a screen. They're bridges. Bridges between struggle and strength, pain and purpose, fear and faith. Your story could be the lifeline someone is desperately searching for. Let me share another powerful example from Dorian's journey. Her book, I Am Comforted and Not Alone, was born out of personal grief after losing her father. She saw how deeply that loss affected not just her, but also her daughter, nieces, and nephews. Recognizing that children grieve too, but often lack the words to express it, she wrote a book to help families process grief and healing together, using God's promises as a foundation. The impact? It was far beyond what she could have imagined. University professors used her book to help students discuss emotions. Parents found the language they needed to talk about grief with their children. Educators and ministries discovered valuable tools for teaching resilience and faith, all because one woman dared to turn her pain into purpose, her grief into a gift for others. This is the power of writing with intention, of sharing your story as a ministry. When you step into your calling as a storyteller, your words don't just stay on the page, they live in people's hearts, shaping how they see themselves and the world. Now, I can almost hear some of you thinking, but I'm not qualified. I'm not a professional author. I don't have a publisher. Let me tell you something Dorian shared that might just change your perspective. God does not call the qualified. He qualifies the called. You don't need a fancy degree in creative writing. You don't need a big-name publisher or a massive platform. All you need is obedience to the calling God has placed on your heart. If he gave you a story, he will equip you to share it. So how do we move from inspiration to action? How do we take this burning desire to share our story and turn it into something tangible? Dorian shared some practical steps that I want to pass on to you. First, pray for clarity. Ask God, who is this book for? What message do you want me to share? Write down the answer. That's your starting point. Don't overthink it. Just listen and write. Second, embrace imperfection. Your first draft won't be perfect, and that's okay. In fact, it's more than okay. It's necessary. Write first, edit later. Remember, done is better than perfect. The world needs your story more than it needs your perfectionism. Third, know your audience. Are you writing for children, parents, educators, faith leaders? Knowing your reader will shape how you communicate your message. It's not about writing for everyone. It's about writing for someone. Who is your someone? Fourth, create a writing routine. Set aside 30 minutes a day or 1 hour a week to focus on writing. Small, consistent steps lead to big results. It's not about waiting for inspiration to strike. It's about showing up day after day and doing the work. Fifth, consider self-publishing. You don't need a big-name publisher to get your message out there. With the right strategy, you can successfully self-publish and market your book to the right audience. Remember, your story is unique. You don't need anyone's permission to share it with the world. And finally, market your book with purpose. Writing the book is only step one. The next step is to share creative ways to get your book into churches, schools, bookstores, and readers' hands. Your book is a tool for transformation, but only if it reaches the hands of those who need it most. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. This sounds great, but I'm scared. What if no one reads my book? What if it's not good enough? Let me share one more piece of wisdom from Dorian that really struck me. She keeps the Bible verse Galatians 6:9 by her computer. So let's not get tired of doing what is good. At just the right time, we will reap a harvest of blessing if we don't give up. The enemy loves to plant doubt and fear in those called to do God's work. He will whisper, who do you think you are? But let me remind you of the truth. You are a child of God, created with a unique voice and a unique story. Your words have power. Your experiences matter. And somewhere out there, there's a reader waiting for your book to change their life. Your book isn't just a book. It's a seed that can grow into something greater, a ministry, a movement, a legacy. It's a bridge between your experiences and someone else's healing. It's a light in the darkness for someone who feels alone in their struggles. Think about it. How many times have you read a book that seemed to speak directly to your soul? How many times has a story touched you so deeply that it changed the way you see the world? That's the power you hold in your hands. That's the gift you have to offer. So I want to challenge you today. Stop waiting for the perfect time to write. Stop doubting your ability to impact lives. Stop letting fear hold you back from sharing your story. Instead, I want you to take one small step today towards bringing your book to life. Maybe that means setting aside 30 minutes to brainstorm ideas. Perhaps it's writing down that opening paragraph that's been swirling in your mind, or maybe it's simply praying for the courage to start. Whatever it is, do it today because your story matters. Your words have power, and the world is waiting for the unique message only you can share. Remember, you're not just writing a book. You're creating a ministry. You're crafting a tool for transformation. You're weaving words that could change someone's world. So write with purpose, share with courage, and never, ever give up on the story God has given you to tell. As we wrap up this talk, I want to leave you with a call to action. It's time to stop being a consumer of stories and start being a creator. It's time to step out of your comfort zone and into your calling. It's time to turn your pain into purpose, your struggles into strength, and your experiences into inspiration. I challenge you to commit to writing your story. Not someday, not when you feel ready, but now. Today, because somewhere out there, someone is waiting for the hope, healing, and inspiration that only your story can provide. Imagine a world where every person understood the power of their story. Imagine a world where people weren't afraid to share their struggles, their triumphs, their lessons learned. Imagine the healing, the growth, the transformation that could occur. That's the world we can create, one story at a time. So what's your story? What message has God placed on your heart? What experience have you been through that could be a lifeline for someone else? It's time to stop hiding. It's time to stop doubting. It's time to start writing. Remember, your story is not just for you. It's a ministry. It's a calling. It's a way to make the world a little bit brighter, a little bit kinder, a little bit more hopeful. And trust me, the world needs your light now more than ever. So pick up that pen, open that laptop, start that voice memo, whatever it takes. Start telling your story today, because you never know whose life you might change, whose heart you might heal, whose world you might transform. Your story matters. Your voice matters. Your experiences matter. It's time to share them with the world. Are you ready to answer the call? Are you ready to step into your purpose as a storyteller? Are you ready to change lives through the power of your words? The world is waiting. Your readers are waiting. God is waiting. It's time to write your story and unleash its power to heal, inspire, and transform lives. The question is, are you ready to begin? Thank you.